I have two special guests here with me today that I'm excited to share this platform with. And I'm going to give them this opportunity to introduce themselves. First of all, let me just give the mic to Miss Marissa Bobo. Tell us a little about yourself.
All right, thank you so much for having me, foremost. Greetings, I am Marissa Bobo, a first-year pre-cardiopulmonary science scholar, and I do have the gracious benefit of attending the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. And thank you so much for having me today.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Marissa's one of a few mentees that was a part of our mentoring program, FLOAT program, Future Leading Ladies of America Training Program, which was under the leadership of Dr. Monique Dennis and other amazing women in our community as well. So thank you for being here. And our next guest.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about yourself.
So greetings, I am Kenneth Darian, Jr., a sophomore business administration with a concentration in finance scholar from Miami, Florida, and I do attend the illustrious Florida A&M University.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I just happen to be pretty good friends with some people you know very well. Hey, but what I want, first of all, what does it feel like? How does it feel to be a part of a great tradition or such a rich tradition? FAMU. What has that experience been like?
It's been great, honestly. It's been more than I could ask for, really. I am so shell-shocked to be able to experience the greatness that is FAMU and to be able to walk into the history that we have, the tradition that we have, to meet all the amazing people that are in the making, really, because that's what FAMU is. It's a house for making greatness. So I'm so happy to meet everyone, especially young leaders like Kenneth.
So, you know, I consider y'all the next generation. You all are next up, right?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe you are the next the future leaders. You're already great leaders, so you're the next generation up. So let me ask you, what was your motivation behind choosing the medical profession, medical studies? What was your motivation?
My motivation behind it, ever since I was in preschool, I've always knew that I wanted to work in medicine because I love to help people. That's just one of my core values as a person, is to help and to serve others. So working in the medical field, I started off wanting to be a doctor, and I realized that I'm a lot more grimy. I like to get my hands on things a lot more. So working in respiratory therapy and nursing helps me be a lot, one-on-one with my patients a lot more. I'm a lot more in your face, and I get to build those real people connections with everyone.
Awesome. Well, let me just tell you in front of this audience, I thank you for participating in our program. Yeah. You were definitely one of those positive blueprint, and your contribution to our organization made it what it is. So I want to thank you for the time you gave us. Okay.
Thank you so
much. And we're so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. And tell me, how does it feel to be a part of such a rich traditional, young man?
It feels amazing. At first, I almost passed it up. I did not.
Tell us about it.
So going into, I grew up in Miami all my life, so I've been around diversity. So when I heard about HBCU, I thought I would be only limited to just learning about Black culture. I thought I had it figured out. Turns out I do not. So when I came there, it was amazing. Orientation, everybody was so welcoming, and I could see actually what Black excellence looks like. And being there, being around those individuals that want better for themselves and that are striving for that every day, it feels amazing. And I do my best to try to contribute to that and help as many people as I can.
So tell me about one of those shocking experiences when you got there that sort of reshaped your train of thought about HBCUs.
So I would say it was orientation. And as soon as I stepped on, I didn't know what I was getting into. So as soon as I stepped on campus, I was thinking, I'm going to just be myself and we'll see what happens. So I met one of my good friends now, Cyrus, waiting for the elevator. And I didn't know he would be one of my good friends, but now he is. And after that, throughout the time of orientation, I didn't expect to be friends with my whole orientation class. Somehow, some way, I was just, first day out, I just knew everybody. So I just didn't know, but it was very welcoming. It was a new experience. It felt like home.
Well, you don't seem to lack people skills.
So,
okay. Listen, let's talk about the framework for life success. It's just my thoughts and tips as it relates to that. One of the things I want to talk to you is about awareness. Knowing where you stand, knowing what you stand for. But let me ask you this question, Marissa. As someone stepping into the role of the next generation, what kind of example are you choosing to set as an individual, and especially a young lady?
For me personally, I'm trying to set the standard of dependability and to make sure that when someone's calling you to the table that you're there and you're prepared to step up to what you're being called for. As well as a young lady, I'm so glad she touched on that, the importance of elegance in class when you're stepping up to these roles, not showing so much that you're so crowded with all your responsibilities and whatnot, but more so that you're excited to excel and prepare for what you're being called to.
How much of that foundation do you think you had prior to going off to college?
I think that with how I involved myself down here before I left, it really did help me build the foundation for that. While I was still down here in high school, I was a part of Top Teens. I was Miss Top Teens for the Southern Pros Miami-Dade chapter. I was e-board for almost every organization that I was a part of in my high school and outside of, and just the community around. When I was in Future Leading Ladies of America in training, everything that I was called to do there, it really helped me prepare myself to what I was going to experience in college, because college is kind of just high school on a multiplication board, really, if you think about it, everything that you're getting yourself involved into. So being able to immerse myself so much in my community here and learning how to balance everything here really allowed me to go and be my best self at FAMU.
Well, wasn't you a part of a special organization where you were a president?
Oh, yes. I did not forget about it. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the South Dade Youth Chapter. I was the president of our South Dade Youth Chapter right here.
You recall that, yeah.
Yes. I got to work so closely with an amazing one by the name of Dr. Keith Burnett and another amazing woman who allowed me to go. She nominated me for the award of Noble, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement. I was able to get the Youth and Community Service Justice by Action Award through my actions that I did without the NAACP and just around in my community. Yes.
So you start making impact early.
Yes, I do. It's important to do it early.
Good. Tell me. Talk to me.
I can't talk that up.
So tell me, what was your motivation behind choosing your major, your area of concentration in terms of studying?
So one of the things that I didn't go into college thinking, I was going to be a finance major. So went into college, I was thinking of marketing. But then as I got in my first year, I didn't really like marketing as much as I thought I did. So I took an accounting class and I really enjoyed that. I learned a lot about the balance sheet, liabilities, assets. That stuff spoke to me. So when I made that switch to finance, it wasn't a very hard transition. And one thing I'm very big on is helping the community as well. I'm very big on that. So one of the reasons why I switched was because I know my family wasn't the best with money. And I know a lot of Black families as well aren't the best and knowledgeable with money. So I wanted to be able to help in that regard. One thing that I'm very big on is meaningful work. If I'm going to do something, I want it to actually have some meaning and be able to help people. So hence why I'm going into a field with wealth management, so I can be able to change lives and help those families grow their wealth and be more knowledgeable within that.
I heard someone say it's about moments, memories, and meaning. I like that. But let me ask you this question. What daily habits are you currently intentionally practicing to grow into this person that you hope to be, and you will be? I don't think it's a hope, but by design, you will become that person beyond everything that you can control. What are some of the things that you're doing on a daily?
So currently daily is mainly I think the most important thing is kind of waking up like on the same time every day. Because with the way my life is, I could stay up late, or my life can always be flexible. But if I can wake up early so that I would be able to get ahead of the day, be able to get ahead on what I need to do, so I would be able to plan out my day, that helps me a lot and it saves me a lot of time, so I'm not picking up for little things throughout the day. And journaling is probably one of my biggest.
So what it sounds like, you are adamant about when in the morning.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. I try to.
You try to. Yeah. And it sounds like you're doing the right thing. It sounds like you're creating good habits that that puts you in position to do exactly that. Thank you. Miss Marissa Bobo, please tell me, what does your future self represent in society?
I think it would have to go a lot into the first question that you asked
Go
me
right
as
ahead.
well. I would keep that same answer, dependability, because what I'm building now is what I want to build for the future and continue that sense of continuity. So my future self in society would be somebody who's dependable, somebody who you can look at for help when you are in need, and even if you're not in need, someone who you can rely on, like an open shoulder almost, you know what I mean? And I would have to say.
Good. So, in doing so, what impact do you want to make in that area?
In the area of community service,
Yes.
mostly, I would want to make the impact of so people can know that I was there, to know that I was helpful and that I was intentional. A lot with what Kenny said, that he does things to make sure there's meaning behind it. I like to be very intentional with what I'm doing. So I want what I leave, my imprint, to be able to look at and be like, you know what, Marissa was here, and I know this was Marissa because of what she did and her impact was.
So that sounds like legacy work. Mm-hmm. So please tell me, how do you define legacy?
I define legacy on the ladder you leave behind for generations to climb.
So would you say legacy is more, not as much as to what you leave for people, but what you leave in people?
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Young man,
Yes, sir.
what does service mean to you?
Service is, I would say, what that means to me is how much you give back to people, how much you can go outside of yourself and be able to give back to the community. So I think that's what service means to me.
You know, a part of the framework for life success, I talk about the 7 A's. One of those A's is awareness. We talked about that. The other one we just talked about ambitious, having a vision, kind of have an idea of knowing what it looks like. I truly believe in that thing. You have to see it before you can be it, right? I believe that. And I believe the more you expose people to certain things, the more they believe that those things are possible, right?
Right.
I like to believe that you and this young lady here would be the evidence for what's possible for those out there that's listening to you that feel like, hey, there's a lot of things out there that's impossible. Nothing's impossible, right?
Correct.
But let me ask you this question. How important it is to show up, attendance, how important it is to be in attendance? Go right ahead.
I think
Ms. Bobo.
Thank you so much. I think it's important to be in attendance so that people can know that you're interested. You can say all day long, oh, I want to do this, or I want to become this, or I'm working towards this. But if people can't tell that you're actively participating in those things that you want to do, then it's hard to rely on you to know that this is what you want to do and to reach back out to you. Because people who, like you, Mr. Hawkins, people who are reaching out to those in our community who want to help the coming generation and those who are in charge next, it's important for us to show up now, to let our elders and our mentors know that this is something that we're interested in and we're open to the help.
What about you, Kenny?
So yes, as Marissa was saying, definitely attendance is a major thing. I know within finance, showing up and showing up early is all the difference between somebody who is average or somebody that actually wants it. So hence why waking up early is extremely important. So
Can you please expound on that? The difference, how it makes one person average versus the other person, it has an impact where they don't perform as well.
yes.
How does that plays a role through just attending? What happens when you attend things?
Yes. So just even
Events. Let's say events.
Yeah,
Different events.
so I can specifically say for showing up, like recently I just came back from a trip with Raymond James Financial. So I got flown out, but to St. Petersburg, it was a career fast track event. So we got an inside scoop on what Raymond James is.
Mm-hmm.
And through there, I was able to kind of see how much showing up really does, because you would get inside info with her that is being able to speak to the recruiters early, be able to pick their brains on certain things or meet certain people. So just showing up and being able to show that interest and see, okay, they can vouch for you on, okay, this person has drive, this person goes the extra mile, they're here at 8 o'clock instead of 8:30, and they actually take the time out of their day.
But
to
would
make
you
it
agree
happen.
you're building your resume and doing so as
Yeah.
well, and you're also being afforded the opportunity to not only prove yourself, but make connections and relationships,
Exactly.
right? How important,
Yeah.
Marissa, is association and making relationship through networking?
I was going to say, I have a story for this attendance as well.
Well, go right ahead.
That can go along with this. Back in high school, I went to the Medical Academy for Science and Technology. And during college tours, not a lot of HBCUs would visit us, but FAMU did. One recruiter from FAMU would always visit us every year. And from my freshman year until my senior year, I would attend his seminar on FAMU, and I would attend his recruitment advisement, and I would watch it every time he came. I'd always watch it. It got to the point where in my senior year, I was able to recite his presentation with him so much, and it was the same guy every single time. When I got up to FAMU on Wednesdays, we have Fried Chicken Wednesday. So we're in Fried Chicken Wednesday in the line. I look in front of me, and I'm like, is that my recruiter? So I called his name. He turned his back to me. He was like, oh my gosh, where do I know you from? I said, I attended every single time you came to my high school. And he said, that is where I know you from. And because I was able to meet him, he put me in contact. I was able to do a different modes of recruitment for FAMU within my first year. And as well as he was able to help me get more scholarship just because we were able to make that connection my high school year. And I'm really big on the importance of networking. I believe that we should start networking before we get to college. When you're in high school, coming from a family who didn't really have a lot of those community connections as I see my peers having, I think it's really important for us as a younger generation to go out and make those networking connections because it's as simple as a hello. It's as simple as a hi, how are you? A lot of the times our mentors and our elders, they're just looking for someone to check in on them. Kind of like, like a fostered grandkid in a sense. So just being there to be like, hi, how are you? How's your day? Can we go grab lunch together? That's what's fostering those connections and building those networkings and making people want to help you as well.
So let's talk about study hall to real life, man. Just, learning about money. Let's talk about money. You're a financial major,
Yes,
and
sir.
we talked about the motivation, but let's talk about what power does that give you in terms of helping people in terms of making, like I said, a real life reset. What are some things you're excited about taking back to your society as it relates to finance?
So I would say some things that make me excited is kind of understanding the power of ownership and owning businesses, owning anything that you do, you're not outsourcing it. So one thing I just learned was with trust, for example, and funneling everything through trust and how that you can avoid a lot of taxes. And that's how a lot of people pass down their wealth is through trust. And they're not getting hit with all of these, I would say, tax implications that take up all of your money, or life insurance policies, and how people use that to pay off their debts and things like that. So it's a lot of intricate stuff and very, I would say it's complex, but that's the exciting part because I would be able to break it down. I would be able to make it more digestible so that we would be able to use that and be able to pass that on to the next generation.
Excellent.
So
let's talk about the wealth life cycle. Okay, what do I mean about the wealth life cycle? The journey: learning, earning, manage, sustaining, transferring. Money serves best when it creates security, freedom, growth, or meaning. Of the four, which is most important to you and why?
Personally, the most important to me would be security. I really like to make sure there's a backup plan for everything that I do. I don't just go on to plan A. I have a plan B, C, D through, Z to make sure that there's always something to fall in between just in case because, life happens and you never know what's going to happen. So to make sure that I have that security in the sense of finances, that I always have something to fall back on is very important to me.
Okay. Well, let me just say this to you. Everybody has the power over their path as it relates to their financial independence. Now, I've come to this here fact is that one of the things that affect every individual, every household, and every phase of your life, right, is financial behavior and financial literacy. Money influence your choices, where you live, what you have, what you don't have. And it also can influence what your level of stress. In our community, one of the number one cause of stress is lack of financial preparation. I think finance and money is one of the most important skills we should inherit. But it's the least discussed topic in our schools, our homes, our church, as well as in our education system. So where does that leave us? So where do we start? You learn before you earn. What does that look like? Financial literacy is your first investment. What does that mean to you? Who's responsible for you ensuring that you know about money? Beyond your college education, who should be responsible for that?
I mean, yourself. You said it.
What does that look like? What do you do?
Taking the time to, research on what budgeting is, the 50-30-20. That's something basic, but it's a principle that would be able to help you in the long run. Figuring out what type of investment vehicles you kind of want to go into because there's multitudes.
Well, let's stay with the budgeting because I want you to bring those numbers Break those numbers down. What does that mean? Yeah, I just heard a lot of math. Tell me what that means.
I got you. So 50, 30, 20, essentially what that is 50 is, it's an allocation for where your money would go. So 50% would be your needs, 30% would be your wants, and then 20% would be your savings. So through there, you would be able to have a blueprint on how much of your paycheck every month you would allocate to those specific
So that
things.
sounds like you're giving your money an assignment, right?
Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
so you're creating soldiers with your buddy, right? To go out there and do the work,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
And that's important. Marissa,
Yeah.
what does financial literacy, investing in your financial literacy, what does that mean? What does that look like for you?
For me, it looks like understanding and being able to, really use what you learn, like in terms of budgeting and investing, being able to make sure that you're set and you're understanding what is happening to your money and what you're doing with it.
What are some of the financial principles that you're following right now as a college student?
Budgeting, big B on budgeting. The B in my last name stands for budgeting. Yes. So as Kenny was saying, the 50-30-20 rule, I live off like basically my allowance that I get sent per month because I don't work right now. I'm focusing on my academics. So being able to allocate my money in 50-30-20 because I have to pay for groceries, I have to pay for laundry, that 50%, and 30% I'm a nice girl who likes her nails done and get her makeup and her hair done. So 30% of that is going to that. And my 20% is going to my savings for things that I might have to save up, whether it's like scholarships or a new laptop or a new phone and things like that in that sense of that nature.
So you're giving your money an assignment, right?
Yes.
And I think budgeting, what it really does for you, of those who do it effectively, it gives you what I call POM money. It is POMM, peace of mind money.
Okay.
Yeah, and having emergency money is very
I like
important.
that.
I think you should definitely focus on having emergency money because you don't want anything coming up when you least expect it and not having the ability to respond, right?
Correct.
The greatest definition I ever heard of being responsible is having the ability to respond to things when you least expect things to happen, right?
Yes.
Because you don't want things altering your life and your path, right? So the best way to get ahead at it is start saving money. How soon? How soon should you start saving money?
Now, yesterday.
Yesterday, right?
Yes, sir.
Like it says, never too early to start, but it's always too late to what?
Wait.
Exactly. So you're right. Now let's talk about the wealth building cycle. There's 3 phases when it comes to building wealth as career individuals, right? And professionals. The first one is the wealth accumulation. This is when you're exchanging time for money. This period is from the time you begin working to the time you get to about 55. You're positioning yourself to earn money, make money, multiply money. What are some of the things you think you need to be focusing on at that particular stage? Because you're at the stage now you have more time ahead of you than you do behind you. Why is it so critically important to establish those good money behaving tactics at that stage? Why?
Right now to establish the
Absolutely. What's the advantage?
advantage is so that when because right now we don't have a lot of responsibilities that we have to care for right now. We're in college, we're young, we have our lives ahead of us and whatnot and all the fun stuff that comes with that. When we get to that serious part of life and we're paying bills, we should be building our credit now, but we're paying bills, our mortgages, our families that we have to take care of, hospital things that might come up and whatnot. If we don't build those basic foundation ground rules of how we should be using our money, then when we get to that stage in life, we're going to go crazy, we're going to lose our hair and whatnot. So it's important that we build that now before we have to come and, tackle all those instances.
I think from a sports standpoint, if you run this play well, that's going to determine the next play you call, right?
Right.
Because the ultimate thing you're trying to do is get the ball down the field, right, when it comes from a financial position, right? Because some of us have not been as fortunate enough to get started at the 30-yard line. Some of us are starting where our parents left off.
Yeah.
That means in the end zone, right?
Yeah.
So you have to run that whole field. So what we will definitely want to do, and let me just say here, I think my parents were the best parents they knew how to be. They did as much as we can ever think about. They did so much more with less. But I see so many of us now having more and doing less. So I just want to say that. Now, let me ask you, this is a phase you should be building momentum. And it is said either you're building momentum or you're missing this opportunity to do so. What does that mean?
So for me, what that means is building momentum could look like making money. I would say working a good job, saving money, practicing those good money habits and kind of investing early so that later on you're not making up for lost time instead of wasting money of spending it on new cars, new bags, new jewelry.
What do we call those things?
Those are liabilities. Those
And
are
depreciation assets, right?
Depreciating
Yes.
assets.
And
yes.
I like something you said. Don't depend on your future self to take care of those things you should be putting in play right now, right?
Exactly.
And one of the things I like to encourage our younger generation to do, well, that's everybody. First of all, you talk about getting a good job. Even if you don't get a good job, you should still save. I will
course.
tell you that. So paying yourself first, what does that mean? That's one of the things I always tell anybody. You have to pay yourself. We get so accustomed to paying everybody, but how important it is to pay yourself first.
To pay ourselves first, it is important. Like I said, one of my biggest things I'm big on is that security. And when you pay yourself, you do get that sense of security because you're good first before you're putting all your money into, like what you said, these depreciating assets. You're paying yourself in a sense of knowledge and literacy. You're paying yourself in a sense of investment for those long-term, those growths that are going to happen.
Good. Anything you want to add to that?
Yes, and especially with paying yourself, like Marissa said, knowledge. That's one of the biggest assets that you have and that nobody can take away from you because what you know is something that you can base on what you grow. So, yeah, right. That was a good one, right?
I like that. What was that?
What you know is what you can base on what you grow. So
Break that down.
So the more that you know financial literacy, you know more about the medical field and things like that, the more you can grow. You can get paid more in the long term for that. So that's why I'm very big on that. And especially investing on assets that aren't depreciating assets. And we have to be careful with that because paying for a nice suit or a nice tailored suit is an asset because that's how you show up every day. That's how you can get a new business opportunity from that. I've gotten opportunities. Somebody said, "Hey, that's a nice suit," and that goes a long way. So spending money on your image, not for fast fashion, not nice clothes, Gucci, all of that, but in assets that would be able to get you an opportunity in the future is something.
That kind of goes with something I heard. The person you become inside is for the Heavenly Father. The person you become outside is for exactly what you're
Everybody
talking about,
else.
pleasing everybody else. And I think that's important, taking care of yourself, having good eating habits, health habits, exercising habits. I think that's part of becoming a true professional and also giving back. I just want to ask you all a couple more questions. We're going to close this thing out. Man, it's been a ball. I wish this can go on
It
forever,
was
right?
really fun. Thank you
So,
so much.
Conversation, definitely.
So what does financial stewardship looks like for you?
For me, financial stewardship, being able to make my own calls, call my own shots because I have the ability to, because I'm not being hindered by anything that I'm worried about. I'm not being hindered financially. I'm able to live my life freely. So financial freedom in a sense.
Okay. So one of the key actions I would like for our audience to take, and I'd like for you to elaborate on it, creating the income streams. Well, how important is that? When should you start doing that?
So yesterday, like I said, so a lot of the things that many people think is their biggest asset, which is their job and their cash flow. That's one of your biggest assets, but also having multiple streams of cash flow because everybody wants passive income, but they're not willing to take the time and the work to put in to get passive income.
Great.
So,
This is our give a flower moment. I need you to give the flower to someone that has a major impact. Take a few seconds and tell that person what they mean to you. This is your opportunity to give flowers.
Okay, I love this. I would like to give a flower to Mr. Hawkins, actually. Not just because I'm here, but because honestly, you have done so much and you've helped me grow my networking and the community that I'm able to reach out to. And because of what you have instilled in me in terms of like visions and being able to look at myself in the confidence and teach me different things such as financial literacy, which as a health major, I really don't know too much about. And I was able to learn and grow my knowledge through you and branch off from what you have taught me. And I thank you so much for that.
Well, don't forget me when you start making millions. I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. Let's go. Make it quick. Come on, let's go with it.
so I want to give my flowers to my family because they definitely did set the blueprint for who I am today and the man that I am becoming. So definitely my mom, my dad, my grandmother, my sister, my aunts, uncles. So everybody, I would say they are the reason I am here today. They've given me the platform. They've sacrificed so much. So I'm there's many words that I can say, but thank you is just the short
Listen,
form.
you both come from two amazing families, and I know them both. But I want to thank y'all real quickly. What would you give me a piece of advice you give to the? Take a second.
So
2-3 words.
2-3 words. Be intentional with your life.
Thank you.
Okay, for me, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
I love that. Thank you all for joining this segment of J. Lamar Thoughts and Tips for a Real Life Reset. Thank you all. Look forward, and remember, you all have the power over your path through the